We're talking with Representative Mike Johnson, who serves the state of Louisiana, the 4th District, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about how you got to this position.
Well, my background is in constitutional law, so for about 20 years I did litigation in the courts, public interest law firms are what I worked for, so I did religious liberty litigation, those kinds of things. Served in the Louisiana legislature for a short term, just a little under 2 years. Filled an unexpired term, then was elected to a full term, but never got a chance to serve it out because this seat became open when the predecessor ran for the U.S. Senate. And we jumped in, and it turned out well. The largest winning percentage in 50 years in my district, and so we're just really blessed and privileged to be here.
Tell us a little bit about what made you decide to get into this race, and what was the ultimate deciding factor? Well, I'm the father of 4 children under the age of 16, and my wife and I have invested all of our adult lives in trying to make a better opportunity for them, as all parents do. And I come from the state of Louisiana. It's, in relative terms, a poor state, or one of the less well-off, let's say that, least well-off. And so there's a lot of concerns in my district. I represent 15 parishes or counties in Louisiana. It's 760,000 people, and there's a lot of cultural differences along that big area, geographic area, but their concerns are the same. And that's the common concerns about the jobs and the economy. We need more opportunity for economic mobility to broaden the pathway out of poverty for more people and create new really opportunities for everyone. The American dream should still be within our grasp, but it hasn't been in recent years. National security and the threat of terrorism and all these things are sort of universal concerns. And so we looked at that, felt like we had something to offer, and so we put ourselves out there, and the people sent us here to do that good work. What is the difference between serving as a state representative and what you experience here serving in Washington, D.C.? There's a lot of similarities, but people say, what's the most surprising thing about serving in Congress? And to be honest, people are surprised to hear this back home when I say it, but it's the level of collegiality that you find amongst the colleagues here, and it's not just within the various conferences, but even across the aisle. So in our freshman class, for example, it's been a great experience. There's 55 of us that came in together, and we've all just worked really well together. We've developed some real friendships, and there's a common sense of unity over overarching purposes. At our freshman retreat, we all talked about how we wanted to change the tone in Washington and level of civility, and so I drafted a document called the Commitment to Civility, and 53 out of 55 freshman members signed on to that. We literally made a contract with one another that we would raise the level of decorum around here and treat one another with dignity and respect, and even when we disagree, do it in an agreeable fashion, because I think that sets an important example. That National Day of Civility, how did it play out amongst those who've been here for a while, maybe leadership? What was the reaction? Well, everybody's gotten behind it. We're in a different era now. After the shooting, tragically, a few weeks back, Steve Scalise, of course, is from my home state of Louisiana, been a dear friend of mine for over 20 years. That got everybody's attention. And you saw even in national media over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of discussion about this sort of general lamentation that people have that the level of discourse here is ultimately leading to violence now. And large majorities of the American people, I think over 3/4 of the American people now, believe that that's true. And so there's a recognition that we have to change that. And it's been really gratifying and encouraging to see people from different parties, different political ideas and persuasions, agreeing on the idea that we need to do this better. I think that's what the founders envisioned and intended, and that level of statesmanship that we used to regard and respect in this country, I think we can get back to that, and it'll do a great service to everyone. So ultimately, though, even aside from the unity that you want to pursue, you want to make an impact as an individual. As a freshman particularly, how do you go about doing that? Well, you put your head down and you get your work done. I think there's an opportunity for everyone in an environment like this who's serious about making necessary reforms. We recognize we've got serious challenges in this country. We're the most free, most prosperous, most successful nation in the history of the planet, and yet we have these tremendous challenges in front of us. So those who are willing to roll up their sleeves, put in the work. I mean, I was in this office last night until working about 12:45 last night. Got up at 5:30 this morning. That's what it requires to do the job right and to do it well. And I think those who are willing to do that can make an impact, and we're seeing that. How do you keep yourself centered while you're here, away from the day-to-day work that you have to do? You keep perspective, and you remember why you came here and who you represent, and that's a motivating factor to know that
these tremendous challenges that we're facing, that we're offering real solutions, and we're doing it on behalf of the people who don't have always a voice. We are their voice, in effect. When I go home on the breaks, I do town halls. We did 3 over the July 4th recess and many meetings around the district. To be in front of the people that we represent and to remember these are real struggles that we're having on the ground level back home, and we have an opportunity, a historic opportunity, to fix some of those things, and that's what keeps you going. That's the motivation, the fuel, you know. It doesn't really feel like hard work sometimes, even though it is, because we know that there's such a tremendous impact that can be made, and that's what keeps you going.
When you're here, or since you've been here, who have you looked to as a role model? Who have you reached out to learn things, or at least get some, you know, shorthand as far as how things work here?
We're really blessed in the Republican conference. You know, those in leadership are very accessible. You know, one of the best things I do, I tell the people back home, is I'm one of those guys that lives in my office, right? So in the morning, we all meet up in the gym. That's where the showers are and where all the real action takes place, because there's no staff, no media there. It's just members. And you know, you can approach leadership or anyone there and talk about policy, talk about ideas, and it's a great thing. And it's bipartisan in the gym too, you know, so you get to form real relationships with folks, and that's been great. There's so many people who I think get great pleasure in helping to mentor, helping. I mean, this morning I had a breakfast with Doug Collins, is a more senior member from Georgia, and he's one in particular who's just been really great about reaching out and trying to help us learn the ropes, and it's made us all more effective, and we're really.
Before the incident, did Mr. Scalise offer any advice to you?
Constantly. I mean, he's been a great friend, advisor of mine since we were in college at LSU. He was several years ahead of me. And so we've known each other a long time, been in a lot of foxholes together, and he's always been one of my great advisors, and he's very generous with his time that way. And I'm not unique, because so many people have said that about the whip, and that's just who he is as a person, and it's a great credit to him that he's so well respected for that.
What's the best piece of advice he's given you?
Well, he said be careful about your early alliances that you make, right? That you need to assess the whole scope and the whole situation before you get marginalized or labeled in any way, and that's been some key advice. You know, you want to be regarded in Congress as one who is level-headed and someone who will evaluate everything on its merits and not just, you know, stake out a position in a corner somewhere. And we've been very deliberate about doing that, and I think that's what the voters back home expect.
You mentioned your family. Tell us about them.
Yeah, I've been married to my wife Kelly for about 19 years now. We got 4 children, and we're just really blessed that they're back home, and so I commute, do the thing on the weekends and the precious few days off that we have. I'm blessed that my family is really into this. They see it as a calling, as I do, and so families have to be pretty long-suffering in this in a role like this. But they are, and God's been gracious to us to cover our bases. So I'm a blessed man.
Is it difficult to keep connection with them on the day-to-day things that family have to go through?
It's hard to miss baseball games and practices, that kind of thing. But we use FaceTime. Technology is great because I see my children virtually every night before they go to bed and talk to them and catch up with their day, and that makes a difference. I mean, it is great to get home and open the front door and have the 6-year-old run up and "Daddy," and then they all come up in turn and do that, and it allows you to keep perspective and remember why we're doing all this. I'm doing this job for them and all of our children and grandchildren, so that they have the same opportunity, the same country that we have all appreciated and enjoyed. And I think my kids, in their own way, they understand that, and they're really into what we're doing.
As far as committees, what committees do you serve on? What do you hope to bring to them?
So I was put on Judiciary because of my background in constitutional law, I think, and that's a great committee because it has such broad jurisdiction over so many things affecting our country. I mean, everything from criminal law to the maintaining of our civil rights and constitutional rights, and all the way everything to border security, immigration, our criminal justice system. Lots of authority there, and so it's an important committee. I'm grateful to be there, and I'm on some of those important subcommittees there dealing with those big hot-button issues. And then natural resources, which is really important for our state of Louisiana, and I was really grateful to get a vice chairmanship there of the Oversight Committee, and we were doing some really important work there. So Those are key positions for our state, and we've been grateful for those assignments.
Finally, how is the po' boy gumbo market here in the Washington, D.C. metro area?
Well, it's not Louisiana, okay? There's lots of things that masquerade as Cajun food that really are not. But we get home enough to get the real taste of the real stuff. And we do Washington, D.C. Mardi Gras here every year and draw thousands of people who come to get to sample the real stuff. So we got a taste of Louisiana here on the Hill.
Representative Mike Johnson, who serves the state of Louisiana, thanks for your time.
Thank